deal with it later, Joe.
Nobody wants to hear about that?
Welcome to Mornings with Matt, personal and professional development training that connects the art of acting with critical life skills and self-mastery. Presented by the Deering Acting Studio.
Alrighty, good morning, everybody, and welcome to Mornings with Matt. We are so excited this morning to be joined by our very first parents on the show of a young actress. We have with us the Pitts. Welcome, the Pitts.
Yay!
Good morning.
We lovingly call you the Pitts. You are John and Allison Pitt. You do have names. It's true.
I do.
Isn't it funny how when we become parents, we end up becoming like our child's name and then that person's parent? It's
Absolutely.
Like you lose your identity. Like I'm Jack's dad or Rosalind's dad, you know?
Yes, 100%. Yeah.
So good morning. How you doing today?
Good. Great. Yeah.
You
How
look
are you?
good. You look great. I'm happy to be alive. Thank you.
Good.
So tell me about you guys a little bit. I know the Pitts here own Super Luxe. It's a clothing company, and they do design custom T-shirts, sweatshirts, hats. I mean, you name it, they can do it. Unbelievable company. We found you guys 100% through God. I know this for a fact. And all of our apparel is Super Luxe.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we're big fans.
And all of our students are big fans also.
Yeah.
So good.
As a matter of fact, I keep the temperature down really low just so people will want the sweatshirts.
It's important. Yeah.
It's a good move.
So tell us a little bit about you guys. I want to hear about your love story. We're married 19 years. That's a big deal. Can I get a round of applause, Joey?
Yeah.
Oh no.
I'm going to give
Dang
a
it.
physical one,
We weren't
like
ready.
a real round of applause as well.
Close. All right, here we go. Tell me about the love story.
Tell it.
So we met at an 18 and over dance club called Deviate in downtown Seattle.
One of the best places to meet your Yeah, I think that song played, actually.
No way. I gotta say, well done, John, because that's pretty tough to meet a girl in a dance club.
Yeah.
I failed miserably at that. That was not my not my expertise.
It is kind of, she was dancing with this guy kind of for most of the night, and he left and went to the bathroom. And she was
My chance.
He was one of my cheerleading friends. I was there with my cheerleading friends, and kind of they were like, I had just broken up with my boyfriend, and they're like, you know what, we're gonna leave you alone for a little bit. You need to meet somebody, and so he was waiting in the wings and swooped in and stole my heart.
That's awesome. What was John wearing? Do you remember?
Yeah, he was wearing like this polo shirt, this black baby rib polo shirt, and he had like this nice puka shell necklace on.
Yeah.
Gotta have the puka shell necklace, bro. That's perfect.
I was hooked.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Okay, cool. So then how did Super Luxe come about? Tell us about that.
So it was kind of a funny time in our life. We used to do residential real estate, and we had done really well when the market was strong. Got out of it kind of at a fortuitous time and had some money to invest. And we were exploring hobbies, and we got into an idea we had to make dog beds. We were going to make these high-end custom dog beds. And after exploring that, we realized that was a ridiculous idea. Like, $600 on these high-end dog beds. And so we got into sourcing places that had apparel for dogs. And we came across a company called American Apparel that did dog shirts, but they also did T-shirts for concerts and stuff like that.
They were just kind of starting out at the time, so kind of we kind of caught them right kind of in their beginning before they blew up and had all the stores and everything like that, and got an account with them and started printing and
started shopping for screen printers.
Yeah.
And realized that we had worked at Nordstrom during college and had this expectation of customer service and how to treat people. And there wasn't a lot of customer service in the screen printing industry. And so we saw that as a huge opportunity to learn screen printing. We're like, how hard can this be? It turns out it's pretty hard. But after a while, we learned.
Yeah, I think we said the same thing about an acting school. We're like, how hard could it be?
Yeah.
It's pretty tough.
But we just wanted to serve our customers and come up with T-shirts. Everyone's got a favorite T-shirt, a go-to T-shirt. And we're like, we got to figure out how to create or craft that go-to favorite T-shirt that you reach for after laundry day. And that's kind of how the journey began.
Nice. I can tell you my During Acting Studio T-shirt made by Super Luxe is now my go-to.
Nice.
Yep,
Nice.
100%.
Yeah.
Every day, all the time, with the sweatshirt especially. The
Yeah.
sweatshirt especially.
This is not a Super Luxe sweatshirt. This is a Lululemon, but very soon there will be a Deering emblem on here, compliments of Super Luxe.
Yeah.
That's true.
Okay, so you're both entrepreneurs, is that right?
Yeah.
You both always had that sort of brain, and you had that sort of go-to attitude, or?
We did. When I was a kid, I kind of always played business. Like I had a dollhouse in my room that was a hotel, Barbie hotel. In the backyard, I had a cafe, kind of, instead of a playhouse. It was always business that I played, so it's always what I wanted to do, and I find it really fascinating and fun. So, yeah. And
John, when you did real estate, were you flipping houses at all? Were you doing work on homes, or?
We were flipping houses, kind of, and also selling residential real estate. But we made most of our money to invest in the business now, flipping houses.
Yeah, right on. Okay, because Allison can attest to this, but John's pretty good. Pretty good handyman, pretty good with his hands.
He's
Big
like
time.
the best.
I wanted to be careful saying Allison could attest that he's pretty good with his hands, so I had to throw the handyman in the middle of that.
It's very, very smart. Very smart of you. Yeah.
And then I brought it up anyway, so that was great.
I liked it. I liked the way you did it.
that part when we let Parker watch it.
All right, so now everyone, we've met the Pitts here. Everyone can tell why we love them so much. They're amazing human beings. So let's get to another amazing human being, your daughter, and let's bring her into the story.
Okay. She's 9 years old, and she, since she was little, she's just been singing, dancing, loves to play kind of director, and kind of just has really been interested in kind of the industry for a long time. And so as soon as she became old enough to start doing camps and classes, we got her into it, and she just loves it, kind of, and really kind of just lights up when she kind of does it. She's a typically kind of reserved kind of kid, kind of, but with theater and with acting, she's really blossomed, and we just kind of want to keep that going. And we see a lot of great things when she's performing. So
I can't remember. I think we asked her this, but I'm not remembering exactly. Do you know what she loves about it so much?
So many things.
So many things.
Yeah.
She's always had a gift for music. I think that she loves musical theater, but I think she just also loves kind of being different characters. She likes the ability to escape kind of her regular, not that her regular life is bad, but she likes the ability just to embrace these different characters and the challenges that entails.
She takes challenges really seriously, and she loves to have a goal. And so when she has a script, she sees that as something to tackle, something that she wants to, memorize, that kind of get into the character. Kind of, we have a lot of really good together time in like this kind of arena. So I feel like I have a passion for it as well. And so her and I will kind of get into the characters and what the scene means, and we'll kind of look up resource materials and just really dive into it. And I think that that's just a really fun time for us together.
So where does your passion for it come from? Did you do any theater or acting growing up?
I did a little theater in high school, but not a lot. I didn't realize I really loved it until I was a senior in high school. And then I met John, and I was distracted for the rest of my life. So no.
Well, and you were a cheerleader, so you've got the performance gene in you, I guess, right?
True. I was also in like concert choir, and things that got me on stage really brought me out of my shell. And so I knew that when she was growing up, I saw some of the same qualities in her. I knew that kind of if we got her into this, and it would be also something that would help her kind of to get that self-confidence and shine like we see her shine at home, you know, and be able to do that for other people as well.
Awesome. Okay, cool. Well, thank you so much for being on the show. I think this is a really good opportunity for our listeners, because there's a lot of parents out there that have a lot of questions, and this business can be tough to navigate for anybody. And so as parents, especially, you have this child who's growing up asking a bunch of questions and saying, like, I want to do all this stuff, and it can be hard to know where to navigate. So let's dive into some of the questions here, and we'll see if we're able to field a few of them.
Okay. Yeah. So a couple of the questions I had she's been doing a lot of community theater work here in Phoenix, and it's been really, really fun for her. But with, you know, the whole COVID thing and everything like that, there just aren't a lot of opportunities in theater right now. Everything is closed. And so she's just really itching for more opportunity to act, really, kind of in any way. We have been hesitant to get an agent, just because we just don't really know anything about that process, and whether or not she was ready for something like that. You know, we wanted her to be prepared and have the skills that if she went on an audition, that she would have success. But I guess my question would be, how do you go about finding a good agent, somebody that's going to represent a child well, and sift through all of that kind of mess that you find online, just searching.
Sure.
It's pretty daunting.
Does she have a local agent?
No.
Okay. Well, we'll have to remedy that. That should be something that happens very soon. So basically, with the agents, it's like the chicken and the egg type problem. Locally, you shouldn't have an issue. I'm sure we can get Parker signed with somebody here. She's very talented, and she got a good head on her shoulders, and I think everybody'd be lucky to have her. On a national level, she's usually you got to have some form of a demo reel ahead of time. You have to have things on your resume, but in order to get those things on your resume, sometimes you need the agent. So that's the chicken and the egg deal. Right. It's a little bit just time in the game. You just stay the course. You keep working. You keep pushing forward. And I think you're doing a lot of things right. You're searching the internet for gigs and this and that. Just make sure she's training every day. Like you said, she gets excited by getting a script and having that be something that she can tackle. So I would say continue to challenge her, continue to look for ways to challenge her. Ask us, ask any, coach that she might have for, what would be the next challenging thing that we could do at home, and just keep her actively pursuing the craft and the work part of it, knowing that when the opportunities come, she'll be fully prepared. Truth be told, if you look on TV and you look at the different commercials and whatnot that are out there, there are less opportunities for young kids when it comes to TV. Same thing with theater. Parker's already landed a couple of the big roles in town for theater productions, but if you think about it, how many of the lead actors were her age? One, and she got it right. So you think, okay, that means there's a few less opportunities for her age. That's going to be the same sort of everywhere. But a bigger town will offer more opportunity, but it'll also offer more competition. So you're going to run into that stuff all the time. I'm a huge proponent myself in producing your own stuff and finding ways to stay active in your own productions. So like Brian, for instance, he runs a nonprofit called Lighthouse Theater. I'm just gonna shameless plug here.
Hey.
For instance, if a couple parents came to Brian and said, "Hey, we love this play. We want to help you produce it." Like blah blah blah. Like he's gonna say yes. You could produce a play in your own living room. Like there's you could think about ways to expand your own horizons and her horizons, so you're not always waiting for somebody else to say she's good enough. And I think the other nice thing is you'll be teaching her that entrepreneurial spirit that the two of you have, because she's not going to sit around and wait for somebody else to say she's good enough. I mean, let's face it. We're right now acknowledging that there's a hole in the market.
Yeah. So
the question is, we're a bunch of entrepreneurs sitting around a table here, and we're like, let's start thinking about how do we fix that hole, because that's really what it is. And so it's like, okay, how do we get more opportunities, and not only more opportunities but good ones, because there is some children's theater out there, but it's not all great. And so, so at a certain point we have to decide, you know, what do we want to do? How do we want to go about it? And that's why I love the idea of producing your own stuff. You know, I mean, we can imagine we just get her on like our kids podcast here, and she became like a figure on that or something, you know.
That'd be great.
Yeah, and she's producing plays, and she has like, she could have her own like little you know, side acting hustle thing going on, you know. and then you know, then she's developing her own kind of following and different things, and she's actively fulfilling that part of her that wants to act, that wants to be an artist, but she's not associating her value as a human being with whether or not she lands a role that is out of her control. And that's where I think the danger is with kids, and anybody, but especially kids, when they start to associate their value with landing a role.
When she came and did that private lesson for Shrek, remember? And she was about to audition for that. We had a talk together about the idea of exactly that, of making sure. And I sat Parker down, I don't know if you remember, and I was like, hey, I don't want you to care about this role. Like, I really don't. I want you to go in there and not care about it, because if you do, you're doing it for the wrong reasons. And I remember I was very, very hard for me, because it was, I hadn't had that talk really very much with a kid yet. And so it was super challenging. And so I would say during this time to just continue to remind her too that like Matt said, don't wrap your value in the parts, in these things. But right now, let's all keep getting better together. Let's produce. Let's also pick up scripts all the time. And like since you love doing it so much, just picking up scripts and becoming characters, let's make it about that, and keep reminding her that it's not about those roles. It's not about landing something or not landing something, but if she's doing what she loves, she will be happy. She will be happy, and the success will follow, just like it did in Shrek and in so many things that she's done. Like, when you don't care and you're just doing the work pays off and does what it does.
Absolutely.
Sure. Is Parker watching right now? Is she awake?
She's sleeping.
She's sleeping. She'll probably watch
we
later.
Try.
Hi,
Parker.
Well, cool. And then, did you happen to watch the acting class yesterday? The feed?
We didn't get a chance to. No.
Okay, so I'm not sure if it's on there or not, because I'm not sure which camera we were on at what time and what exact moment we went live. But I looked right at Parker and I said, basically, you're tense. I was like, you're tense. You're still tense. And that was her fail. I kept telling all the kids they were failing the whole class. And it became this big joke because I said, pop quiz, are we allowed to fail? And my kids know the answer. They're like, yeah. And I'm like, that's right. We can fail. Like, as a matter of fact, we have to fail. We can't, like, quitting is not an option, but failure, 100%, like, we have to fail. If we don't fail, we're never going to grow. So if you're not failing, that means you're not pushing yourself hard enough. You're not trying new things. So when it comes to Parker in particular, and I think there are kids like Parker, she reminds me of other kids in that she takes it very seriously.
Very.
Which is a good thing until it's too much, you know?
Right.
Because there's a part of her age where people also need her to be a kid to play the role. Like, I can tell you, for instance, in Valleywood, when she was in the last movie camp, I finally got her to smile. But it's like she, you know, I was like trying to improvise on the other side of the camera because I knew I needed a blooper of her, you know, and I was just like, Parker, blah, and she was just stone-faced, you know, because she wanted to stay in character. She didn't want to fail. And then finally got her to smile, and I think she was even thinking to herself, like, is it okay that I did that? So that's one of the big things I want to work with her through our program actually is going to be about loosening up and knowing when to take the wins, knowing when to celebrate and have fun. Because if she's done the work, then ideally it should be playtime for her. This should be like an exploration of fun, and I want her to understand too that if she's not somewhat uncomfortable on the stage or in front of the camera, then she won't be doing well. That's a really difficult position like to tell people, but as an actor, as soon as you know 100% how it's going to go, it becomes boring because you become predictable. So you want to live in that place of where it's not predictable. You don't know what's going to happen next, and you learn to relax in that place. And that's where the true joy of acting, and I think in life, comes is from when things are a little uneasy, but you're going for it full force. That's where all the juice comes from. So that's going to be my big undertaking with Parker.
Nice. I love it. Yeah, I think that, and then just that also leads into kind of the ability to talk to a casting director, have a genuine conversation with somebody when you're unscripted, and being comfortable in that space, I think, is a big opportunity for her as well.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And we don't want her thinking. I think sometimes I look in her eyes and I can tell she's filtering, trying to figure out how not to screw up.
Yeah.
Right. And I want to encourage her to go for it and know that where she is currently is what's amazing. Now, should she strive for better? Yes. Like 100%, we're always trying to get better. But at the same time, her authentic self, where she is right now, is what makes her her, and it's what makes her endearing, and it will make her what gets cast, especially on camera, because you have a much quicker time frame in order to show people who you are. So if she comes in and she's relaxed and she's smiling and she's funny and engaging the way she is at home and with us when she's not in class, that's when she'll get cast more, and then her serious side comes out because she's prepared. So it's funny because with other kids we have to do the opposite.
Right. Yeah.
There's a lot of kids who just think, I'm going to be famous and I don't care, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, no, you're not.
Calm down.
You could be, but it's not about that. And I got to reel them back and try to give them a dose of Parker's seriousness. But for her, we want to make sure that we continue to inject her with the fun bug and let her know that she's allowed to smile. She's allowed to have a good time. And that's a part of acting too. I mean, they call it putting up a play, right? Well, we have to play. That's an important word in acting. So,
just come up with that just now, just in this moment.
I don't know. It might be in my book.
It felt pretty great.
Okay, next question for us. What do you got?
Hold on, my computer went out. You have a question?
I do have a question. Kind of with the studio, have you guys thought about marketing a specific class for people, actors that want to be influencers, that specifically pertains to YouTube, and with the whole COVID thing and Zoom meetings? How I know that you've been working with Parker in her classes on how to do the video chats and stuff like that, but have you thought about marketing to the future influencers out there and how to help them craft a narrative that people would find authentic and interesting?
Yeah, that's a really good idea. We haven't thought about marketing that yet, so thank you for the business mind and ideas. Truthfully, we're navigating this ourselves with you guys, because it's like we weren't expecting all this either, so we've been shifting. Brian has always, throughout our studio, he's done workshops about every 6 months on social media, and just the best protocols for social media and whatnot. And he's done these big workshops, usually, anywhere from 60 to 100 people will come in, and it's more like informational than anything else. And it's been awesome. Like huge results from that. But the landscape is shifting so rapidly that you're right. There's like a big need for it. I had one of our business clients say something similar about us needing to teach a class on the Zoom meeting, and helping people understand where to look and how to react, how to like themselves and all that. Because everybody, all of a sudden it's like, I didn't want to be an actor. I didn't want to be on camera, but you have no choice in the last 3 months, And so, so if you had one of those limiting thoughts about yourself or about whatever, then now all of a sudden you're forced into this place where it's like, oh, and if you're telling yourself the wrong things when you're on camera, that's not good.
Right. Yeah.
So no, that's a good idea. And I mean, to sum it up, I mean, without doing a full workshop on it, it is all about being authentic. I mean, that's my firm belief on it is you need to brand yourself. You have to be really smart about knowing what you put up is what people decide that they think of you. Consistency is key. You want to be consistent, but at the same time, you don't want to You don't want to try to be something that you're not. So, for instance, we've got a couple of our kid students who already are influencers, and they've got brands that pay them and give them free clothes and stuff, and so they put up certain things and they pose themselves in certain ways, and they promote these different brands, and they've got like huge followings. For another kid to do that when they're not there yet would be a mistake, because it wouldn't be truthful. So like to try to pretend like you had brands and try to pretend like you had all this stuff going when it's not true is, wouldn't be good. So instead, I think the best thing you can do is document the journey. So like, where are you right now? Be happy with where you are. Talk about the journey, and then hopefully be posting things that are on the other side of it and inspirational and life-giving and light-driven toward the people that are helping you too. So I think another big part about being an influencer is don't wait till you're getting paid to love on people. And if you see someone doing good work, lift them up. I love, without you guys asking me to do it, just promoting Super Luxe anytime I can, because I love you guys, love the product. I'm happy about it. I don't need to get paid for it. One day we'll get paid for, whoever wants to pay us to do that when we've earned it. We haven't earned it yet. But in my mind, it's like whatever influence I have right now, I want to use it for good. Yeah. So it's like practice being an influencer now, but be honest with where you are. Don't try to be something you're not.
It's great.
Yeah, no, that's really good. That kind of also sort of segues nicely into one of my questions about self-promotion. So we're talking about self-promotion online, but then in person as well. She has been, in a lot of theater auditions, and these theater auditions have like a dance call, and she has always been the type of person that will defer to others and let somebody go first. And so in these dance calls, she'll stand in the back and let somebody be in front, and things like that, and so we're trying to teach her that it's okay to stand up and be like, no, pick me. Like, I'm the one that you want over other kids, without, doing that in a humble way. I was wondering if you had any thing to say about that or tips for that.
Yeah, there's a big difference between confidence and arrogance.
Right.
And so the idea is going to be to instill confidence, so that and if they ask for a volunteer, they say, okay, who's going to step up? If your heart said, do it, and you don't, and there was that little bit of hesitancy, during that little moment, that little gray space there, that's when you missed your opportunity. That's when the confidence failed. The arrogant kid didn't get that in their heart. It didn't say, like, go for it. Instead, it was like, I want to be the star. And so,
right.
But that person usually comes right after that gray space, and then you've missed your shot, and the other person goes up forward, and so the idea is to become a better listener, to be relaxing into the room, and then to say, you know what, I do want to share what I have with the world. Coming back to our why. If she has a really good specific why, she wants to use her talents for good, for God, she can be listening to the room and just say, when they ask, if they ask for a volunteer, if there's a moment, a chance for me to shine and to glorify God, the second I hear it, I'm going to say yes. And going back to Parker's whole thing in the beginning, I'm willing to fail. She's got to be willing to fail. Because honestly, if I'm a director and I see a kid who can't dance very well, is not perfect at dancing, but is willing to go, has some confidence, and is willing to fail right in front of me big. I think it's Will Smith says fail big, fail forward, or it might be Denzel. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
So the idea being, if she's willing to do that, it's very attractive to watch somebody go full force at something, and you're going, okay, I'm a good director. I've got a pretty good choreographer. I got a great choreographer. You know what? She's good in every other area. I think we can teach her to dance well enough to be in the show. Let's take her.
Yeah.
And that's what'll happen. She doesn't have to be perfect at everything, but she's got to be willing to go for it full force with a smile on her face and with that lack of fear of gonna screw up. You know, once we change our mindset into like, oh, I hope I don't screw up, to I'm gonna screw up. It's just a matter of how and when and whatever, and
how I react.
Yeah, and how I react to that screw up and being willing to surge through it. Exactly.
That's what we've seen in the dance auditions that she's had. Kind of, she prepares for them, and the dancing and choreography are great, but she's got her focus face that you kind of talked about, and we're like, man, the focus face is really killing it a little bit. You know, it seems stiff, kind of, you know, the moves are there, kind of, you've practiced them, you've got them down, but I think that they're seeing this stiffness from you. You just don't seem like you're having fun. Is what we've tried to convey.
And they don't know her. So they don't know, oh yeah, Parker, you know, is great as soon as, you know, she isn't in this like situation where 40 other kids are trying to kind of show off this dance or whatever, you know, and so then it's just like, oh, well, she's not having a good time. You know, that's what they assume.
Yeah. Well, and she's not alone, you know, I mean, this is a familiar place that we're in. I can tell you the beginning of kids class yesterday, my own daughter came up, and I'm the one teaching, and she comes up crying to me, and I was like, babe, I'm teaching, we're live. and she says, Daddy, I don't have any friends. I don't have any friends here. Like, she was just scared, you know, she was the youngest in the class. And so I said, we'll be okay. We walk over, and I was like, oh, you know, Rosie's sad she doesn't have any friends. And I just threw up a softball for the kids. And this one little girl says, I'll be a friend. I was like, you will? She's like, yeah. And I was like, anybody else want to be a friend? Parker's like, yeah, I'll do it. so before you know it, Rosalind had 3 or 4 friends, you know, immediately, just by her acknowledging the fact that she felt uncomfortable. So now, because I was there, it was easier for her to acknowledge it. But that's good for kids, to acknowledge their weakness, jump into it, and then you get to deal with it right away. So here Parker is, you know, she's nervous in this way. Maybe these are things that are new for her compared to other kids. So I would say one of the things to be successful in something you're uncomfortable with is to go far to the extreme in what scares you while you're in practice. So, like, if we talk about dance, my 3 nephews are dancers. They're really good dancers. They've been dancing their whole lives. They've won awards nationally. You know, one of them might end up, you know, doing it professionally for real. Like, they're that good. And then it's funny that the one nephew has since stopped, but he probably put in less work than everybody else. But he did have this, like, charisma thing about him. And he's just a funny kid in general. He's in the middle. His name's Quentin. And so his brothers might be technically better than him, but when he hit the stage, he had this, like, you know, like the attitude thing that you need when you're dancing. And so even if he would miss the moves, you couldn't take your eyes off him on the stage. It was like a crazy thing, you know? And so he's since stopped, and he's playing basketball and football and stuff. He's doing other things. But the point was, he had that in him to want to, like, fail big, but like, just like, he wasn't afraid to put himself out there, where his brothers wanted to be very technically perfect, you know, wanted to get it right. And so it was a very serious thing. And for him, it's like, I'm just dancing, like, whatever. And he would just, like, put his flair on it, you know? So for Parker, I would say she needs to literally practice being silly.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Okay. One of the things I've done to help adults with their fear of, like, physicalizing as actors is I will do things where I will actually assign them a monologue, and then I'll make them do an interpretive dance to it at home. They have to, like, and then they got to come in and do it in front of me.
I love it.
I mean, how terrifying is that?
That's
terrifying.
I would not want to do that. That's scary.
All right, we're going to have you do that, Brian.
All right,
next.
Cool. Sounds good.
Tomorrow's Mornings with Matt, everyone tune in. Brian will be doing an interpretive dance to a brand new monologue.
Fantastic.
It's going to be amazing.
And you can't use the one from high school.
Oh, come on. So good, though.
So, yeah, you know, like she should be pushing herself when she's dancing to add that little extra something and do it. Like, her goal should be to make you guys laugh.
Right.
You know, not to get the move right, but her goal should be, like, how do I make mom and dad smile or laugh or whatever, and how do I be silly, like, allow myself into the silliness and say that that's a win for me.
And so she sees dancing and choreography as kind of like a script. It's a technical thing. There are certain things you're supposed to do. And so I think it's the same thing with the acting, is that she just needs to figure out how to technically do it, but then have that where she can turn on the fun. And exactly, kind of, I think that is exactly kind of the piece that we may be kind of not missing, but just that we can unlock and kind of make her even better.
Absolutely. I always say that the hard work starts first. You do all the hard work, but the whole point of it is to allow yourself to improvise away from the work.
Yeah.
So if you really know what you're doing, then you can improvise. Let's take, John built this beautiful display in our lobby. It's like gorgeous, really awesome, right? He knows what he's doing. He's put in the time. He's good with his hands, as Allison knows, and and so he's building these shelves for us. And we ran into a couple problems. There were a couple issues, and he knew how to solve them, but he had to improvise. He had to go get different material, and he had to change one material from black that was too shiny into something that looked a little different. And next thing you know, we got big black gloves on together, and I'm like, "Oh, just tell me what to do, dude. I'll do it." But literally, you have to earn the right to improvise. Because if I tried to build the same shelves, you give me the instructions, and I'm just going to stare at the instructions and try to get it done, and then I'll run it, and then I'll get frustrated, run into dead ends. But I haven't earned the right to improvise in that area.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So she'll as long as she mentally understands, her goal is to earn the right to improvise, not to get it perfect, because perfection is not something that we're ever striving for, because it's not really attainable.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Is that it? Do you have another question?
So you've seen Parker's self-tape auditions. Kind of, do you have some tips or tricks or something that kind of we can improve, kind of to present better?
It's honestly, it's along the same line. Brian might have additional advice here, but I think for me, it's along the same advice as what we're giving right now. Is how does she show her true personality? Get that out there quick. Be technically proficient. As parents, the best thing you can do is make sure she has decent lighting, that it sounds good, and that you kind of get out of her way a little bit. Make sure you don't put too much pressure on her. It's okay that she fails. Again, that's a part of the process. So if she can start to see that, the audition process, as an opportunity to fail, and it sounds so weird, but that's the goal. So I know I've taught this for many years, even before I had kids, and now we do it with our kids now. Every audition is treated with the same amount of weight as class, treated with the same amount of weight as a gig, same amount of weight as a callback. So essentially, our kids have a little account, and if they make any acting money, it goes into the account. But if they land a job, they get to get a toy from the dollar store. But if they go to an audition, they get a little toy from the dollar store. It's the same weight. So to them, going on an audition is the same thing as going to class. The same, it's a win, right? So for instance, I will celebrate my daughter's win yesterday in acknowledging her feelings, overcoming it, having a great attitude, earning new friends, and finding a way to be playful in class and find her voice. I will celebrate that as much as I would, or more, the gig that she gets that pays a bunch of money, which is irrelevant to her anyway, because she doesn't get the money. I put it into an account for her future. So
do you share the amount of money with her? I mean, as far as do you tell her how much it paid, or do you keep that to yourself?
Keep it to myself. Yeah. I think it's just added pressure that she doesn't need. And if she asks, I'd always be honest, this is a good one, whatever. But as long as her reward, it doesn't change anyway, it really doesn't matter. I mean, it could be $100,000. She's going to the dollar store. That's what it is. And then dad's going to buy a new car to take her to the dollar store. I'm just kidding. I wouldn't do that.
That'd be bad.
But I might. Okay. Yeah, good.
Sean's face.
Well, it's a business expense. I was just
just put it off, write it off, right?
Just read the book. Acting is my day job. It's how to make money off your kids.
Yeah.
That's
chapter 11.
Chapter 11. Yeah.
Chapter 11.
It's in the appendix. It didn't make the book, but I'll share it with you guys later.
So we keep having great segues. As a parent of an actor in a professional setting, are they typically pretty good about letting parents kind of stick with the child throughout the process on set, kind of to just for safety? That's a concern of ours. Kind of we, have sort of resisted because we just didn't know kind of what it would look like.
Yeah, 100%. I think your child needs to feel safe. You need to feel safe at all times. Your child should always be within your own eyes that you can see them. Never out of sight. If anything, like at our studio, there's in the audition room, the parents are in the first room, they're in the second room. Everything's on tape. They walk into a room, you're right in the next door, so it's very open. That's the way it should always be at all times. If you ever get a sick feeling in your stomach, trust it.
Yeah.
Every time. If your kid gets a sick feeling, teach them about that. Teach them hey, if you ever get some weird feeling, you got to tell us right away. That's not good. It's okay to teach them those things immediately. Anybody who's trying to keep parents away, there's a problem with that for sure. Now, having said that, there's a perfect place where parents fall, and that is you are everywhere the production needs you to be, but you're invisible.
Mm-hmm.
That's your goal. So you're always there, but you're invisible, and that's really the goal. So you show up, you let the child be the star. You ask the right questions, and you kind of just stay out of the way, but you're always present, ready to help, ready to aid, ready to do whatever you got to do to help your child succeed, which helps the production succeed. That's the goal at the end of the day, is to make them look good. So when you accomplish that, then you're on the right path. Think about it like this: if you're watching a really good movie, and there's sound effects and music and whatnot, if that person's done their job right, you don't actually notice it. It just sort of happens to you and you feel a certain way. But then there's other movies where the music's really loud and the sound effects are really loud and it pulls you out of the movie. It's those things are bringing attention to themselves, and the sound person's going hey, look how good I am. And that's not good. So there are such things, and people have been gun shy of parents for a reason, because there are stage parents, and there are parents who get really active and really in your face, and they're super loud, and and honestly, they want to be seen more than they want to help their kids or help the production be successful. And so I think that's the perfect balance, is how do you get involved, make sure that you're welcome, you get a good feeling, your child gets a good feeling at all times. There's no boundaries of anything you couldn't be at, but at the same time you're invisible in such a way that there's no attention being brought back to you, essentially.
I think jumping on that, it's I'm just going to use an example from one of our castings. Actually, there's just a huge difference between a parent who's who won't let go of their kid and is let me come in the audition room with them, kind of deal, that aggressive, like you said, stage mom, and some kid who's there for their very first audition and they're crazy nervous and they're 5 or 6 and they're crying, they're having a moment. And this happened at a casting a little bit back, and Matt came out and I believe let the parent come in with her and sort of guided this kid just through just being a little confident and helping this kid. And so that was the parent sort of being there, being aware, noticing, and parent was willing to literally hand him off because they felt our energy here and was these guys are great. But then also, if we're all being respectful, the director pays it right back and realizes, okay, having you here right now in this moment is going to be what's best for this kid. Come on in. And so as long as everybody's mutually doing that thing Matt's talking about, directors are hyper listening because they have to be aware of literally everything. These guys in Valleywood, Joey and Matt, were a fantastic example of this. There's a billion things going on at once. When you're on set, it's the same thing. There are so many things happening. So to be aware and just sort of blend in as a parent and be ready when you're needed is so amazing, and honestly adds value. It adds value to the kid as well.
Yeah. And the other thing too, as parents, is try your best not to get too high, too low on things the same way you're going to ask them to. So if you can equalize your own emotions to the best of your ability, where you don't put more weight or less weight on a particular audition or camp or anything, like it's just sort of like, hey, this is what you're doing, and I love you no matter what feeling, you know, because kids are so perceptive and they pick up on the little things. I'll hear parents say things sometimes, like to Brian's example, like let's say that happened and I brought a parent in order to, and I know because the child's crying that they're not going to get the job. Like I know it as a casting director. Okay. Now, some casting directors would just say, take your kid away, let them train, tell them to come back when they're ready, you know. I'm like, cool, let me use this as an opportunity to try to lift this kid up and give them a positive experience so they're less scared the next time. That would be my goal. So I do that and bring the parent in, and all we do is we win in confidence. And in my mind, even if the kid's crying, if the kid walked up, stood on the piece of tape and said their name through tears, that's a win. And I'm gonna give the kid a cookie, you know, with compliments and with love and acknowledgement. Well, if that happens, and then on our way out, their parent says to me, but in front of the child, "I'm so sorry. Like, that was really embarrassing. I really apologize for their behavior. This won't happen again." That they just undid all the work that I did to try to boost the kid's confidence.
Right.
And children can hear you. They can feel your energy, you know. So they need that same type of love and encouragement, and to go, hey, like this little win is it's a big deal. You know, every little win is a big deal. And if you overcame some sort of a fear of yours, like we need to go and get something from the dollar store today and say, like, this is a big win, you know, you get your toy or whatever the cookie is for your kid. And I think I always tell my team around here, I'm like, we're all dogs, all of us. We need a bone, you know? So when you do something good, give the dog a bone. It's important. You know, I need compliments, and Brian needs compliments, and Joey needs compliments. Like we need to be told when we're doing a good job. Otherwise, you know, I have a hard time taking the critique when you tell me I'm doing a bad job. So, and kids are very much the same way. You know, if you stay even keeled and you give like really solid advice that comes from a place that's more, intellectual, and you help them understand the why behind what you're saying versus just like, you know, you feeling all the feels right in the moment with them, and then, you know, trying to apologize for them or all that type of stuff. That's stuff that it doesn't damage the kid's reputation or your reputation. It just damages the kid's psychology. And that's the thing that we're always trying to protect around here.
Yeah. We heard some, you know, good advice at some of our auditions that kind of have helped a lot kind of for Parker's confidence, and just the fact that you're going out there and kind of you're putting your best out, and that it may be the case that you're just not the right fit for that character kind of they're looking for. Kind of the analogy of kind of like, you're a mouse and you're kind of the best mouse that you could be. You're so prepared and you're great, but we're looking for an elephant, kind of, you know, and so taking that and realizing, she's really started to, you know, just really realize it was hard not getting cast at first, you know, sometimes, but then now she just goes in there, she puts her best out, and, you know, sometimes they cast kind of kids that are only 12 and 13 for a play, you know, and that's just the way it goes, kind of, and just to put it out there and let God handle it. And if it's not the right opportunity for you right now, that there's something else that's waiting for you around the bend, you know, to be continuing to grow and preparing so that next time, if it is a good fit, that you'll be there and you'll be that one, you know.
I love that. Yeah, that's great advice. That's something every child, I think, needs to hear from their parents. So well done.
Thanks.
And I will steal that analogy for class.
All right. Well, it's been a really, really great time talking to you this morning. Thank you so much for being on the show. We really appreciate it. This has been awesome. I think we gave some good information out there to parents who might have some of the same questions as you.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you for your advice. We appreciate you guys.
Absolutely. All right. God bless you guys. Thank you.
God bless. Bye.
All right. Thank you so much for watching. This has been Mornings with Matt. Please do not forget to like and subscribe to this channel. Share this video if anybody you know out there is a parent, child actor who just might need this kind of advice, this light-driven content. We need your help to share and subscribe to this content so we can keep doing what we're doing. Thanks so much. God bless.
Thanks for listening to Mornings with Matt. Please like, subscribe, and follow us at Deering Acting Studio to keep up with the latest content. For more information on classes, private lessons, or professional development coaching, visit www.deeringstudio.com. Have a Deering day, everyone.